Ben sat in the small cockpit of his spaceship, his hands steady on the controls. He had traveled far from Earth, exploring new worlds in deep space. The mission was important, but so far it had been quiet. Suddenly, the ship shook hard. A loud alarm beeped. "Engine failure," Ben said quietly. He pushed buttons, trying to fix the problem, but nothing worked. The ship was losing power fast. Outside the small window, bright stars moved quickly past him. He knew he could not stay in space. He had to find a place to land, fast. The ship's computer showed a strange green-blue planet below. It looked alive, covered with forests and shining rivers. Ben hoped it was safe. He pulled the controls, guiding the ship down through thick clouds. The shaking got worse. The ship crashed into the ground with a loud bang. Ben felt the seatbelt press against his chest as the ship stopped. He took a deep breath and checked himself. He was hurt, but not badly. The ship was broken, though. He looked around. Strange trees and colorful plants surrounded him. The air smelled fresh and different. Ben opened the door carefully and stepped outside. The ground was soft under his boots. He heard birds singing in the distance, but they sounded strange, not like Earth's birds. The sky was a deep blue, and two suns hung low on the horizon. Ben knew he was far from home. He began to walk, hoping to find help. After a short time, he saw movement between the trees. A woman appeared. She was tall and graceful, with smooth green skin and dark eyes that shone like stars. She wore simple clothes made from soft leaves and cloth. She looked at Ben with surprise, then curiosity. Ben raised his hand slowly. "Hello," he said. "I am Ben. I mean no harm." The woman did not speak. Instead, she made soft sounds and motioned for him to follow her. Ben had no choice. He was injured and alone. He followed her carefully through the forest. After a while, they reached a village. It was unlike anything Ben had ever seen. The homes were built from large trees, with bridges and platforms high above the ground. People moved quietly, watching Ben and the woman. The air was filled with the smell of fire and cooking. The woman led Ben to a small hut. Inside, soft mats covered the floor and plants hung from the ceiling. She motioned for Ben to sit. Then she disappeared, returning with water and fruit. Ben was hungry and thirsty. He ate slowly, watching the village through the open door. The people of the village were strange but kind. They did not speak his language, but their eyes showed interest and kindness. Ben noticed children playing, running, and climbing the trees, easily. The tribe lived close to nature, respecting every plant and animal. That night, Ben lay on the mat, listening to the sounds outside. Strange voices whispered in the dark, and the stars twinkled above. He thought about Earth, his family, and his mission. He was far from home, lost on a new world, but for now, he was safe. The next morning, the green-skinned woman returned. This time, she spoke a few simple words, using slow sounds that Ben tried to understand. She called herself Nira. Ben smiled and repeated the name. Nira smiled back. Ben wanted to learn more about the tribe and their world. He tried to draw pictures in the dirt, showing his ship, Earth, and the stars. Nira watched carefully, then pointed to herself and the others around her. Ben understood she wanted to teach him too. Days passed. Ben helped the tribe in small ways, fixing broken tools with parts from his ship. The people began to trust him more. Nira stayed close, guiding him through the village and the forests. They shared quiet moments, watching the suns rise and fall, but Ben knew his time here was uncertain. The ship was badly damaged. He did not know how to repair it, and he did not know if anyone would come to find him. Still, he felt a strange connection to this place and its people. One evening, as the two suns set behind the mountains, Ben and Nira stood on a high platform, looking out over the valley. The village lights twinkled like stars on the ground. "Will I ever go home?" Ben wondered aloud. Nira looked at him with soft eyes. She did not answer with words, but her hand gently touched his shoulder. A silent promise that, for now, he was not alone. The morning sun rose slowly over the quiet village. Ben woke on the soft mat, feeling the fresh air on his face. The sounds of the forest were different now, but not frightening. He had begun to feel like he belonged here, or at least he wanted to. Nira was already awake. She moved gracefully around the hut, gathering food and water. When she saw Ben open his eyes, she smiled warmly and handed him a bowl of fruit. Ben ate slowly, still careful with his stomach. The fruit was sweet but strange, unlike anything he had tasted before. After breakfast, Nira took Ben's hand and led him outside. The village was busy with people preparing for the day. Men and women carried tools. Children laughed and ran through. The trees and elders sat quietly by fires, watching everything with calm eyes. Ben's heart beat fast. He wanted to talk, to ask questions, but he knew the tribe's language was different. So he watched carefully, learning by seeing. Nira showed him how to carry water from the river in big leaves. She pointed to plants, teaching him their names, with slow words and clear gestures. Though Ben could not speak their language yet, the tribe accepted him. They looked at him with interest and kindness, but also caution. Ben was a stranger, someone from a faraway place, and that made some of them uneasy. One elder, a tall man with silver hair named Tarn, approached Ben. Tarn's eyes were sharp, but not unkind. He spoke slowly, pointing to Ben and then to the sky. "Visitor? Home?" Tarn asked. Ben nodded. "Yes, from far away," he said. Tarn studied him for a moment. Then he gave a small smile and nodded back. It was a simple greeting, but it meant Ben was accepted, for now. The day passed quickly. Nira took Ben to the forest, showing him how to move quietly and carefully. The trees here were tall and covered in bright leaves. Strange birds flew overhead, singing songs Ben had never heard. Ben felt a new respect for the tribe's way of life. They lived with the forest, not against it. They took only what they needed and gave thanks for the gifts of nature. Ben thought about Earth and how people there sometimes forgot to care for their own world. At the river, Ben saw something that made his heart stop. Small footprints in the mud, not human, but something close. Nira noticed his look and whispered, "Danger," Ben asked. "What danger?" Nira pointed to the dark forest beyond the river. "Enemies come, bad ones." Ben frowned. He wanted to help, but he did not know how. The tribe looked strong, but they had no weapons like his ship. Their tools were simple, made from stone and wood. Back in the village, Ben showed Nira pictures. He had drawn in the dirt. He sketched his ship, his tools, and even the stars he had seen. Nira watched closely, fascinated. She took a small tool from her belt and began to draw symbols next to his pictures. Ben guessed she was trying to teach him their language. That night, Ben lay awake. The stars outside the hut twinkled like tiny lights in the dark. He thought about the strange world he was in, the tribe that had saved him, the green-skinned woman who cared for him, and the danger waiting in the forest. Ben felt both hope and fear. Could he fix his ship? Could he ever go home? Or was this new world his future? The next day, Ben woke early. He wanted to help the tribe. Nira led him to a clearing where the villagers gathered. They were making tools and preparing food for a ceremony. Ben watched as the people worked together. Their movements were smooth and practiced. He saw a child drop a sharp stone, and without hesitation, a man picked it up and handed it to the child, smiling. Ben understood that this tribe cared deeply for each other. They lived as a family, supporting and protecting one another. It was a strong bond, and Ben felt proud to be part of it. Later, Nira took Ben to meet more people. He met a young woman named Sela, who was friendly and curious about him. Sela showed Ben how to make simple tools from stone and wood. She laughed when Ben tried and failed, but she encouraged him to keep trying. Ben enjoyed these moments. They helped him forget the fear and loneliness. He felt that maybe, just maybe, he could find a place here. But not everyone in the tribe was happy to have him stay. That evening, Ben noticed a group of men talking quietly. Their faces were serious, their eyes watching him with suspicion. Ben wondered if they thought he was dangerous. He was different, a stranger with strange technology. Would they ever fully accept him? One night, as Ben lay resting, Nira sat beside him. She spoke softly in her language, but this time she used a few words he understood. "Stay," she said. "Safe here." Ben smiled. "Thank you, Nira." She nodded and took his hand. In that moment, Ben felt a warmth he had not felt since leaving Earth. For the first time, he did not feel alone. The next day brought new challenges. Ben helped repair a broken water pump using parts from his ship. The tribe watched with amazement as the machine started working again, sending fresh water to the village. Tarn approached him, nodding with respect. "Good," he said simply. Ben realized that actions spoke louder than words. If he wanted to be part of this tribe, he had to prove himself, not just as a visitor, but as a helper and protector. Days turned into weeks. Ben learned the tribe's ways and shared his own knowledge. He taught the people how to use simple machines, and in return, they taught him how to live with the forest. But deep inside, Ben still dreamed of home, of Earth's blue skies and green fields. He did not know what the future held, but he was ready to face it, one day at a time. The village was quiet in the early morning light. Ben woke feeling stronger after weeks of rest and work with the tribe. The fruit and fresh water had helped his body heal, and the people's kindness had helped his heart. Yet, a new feeling grew inside him, a worry that something was not right. As Ben walked near the edge of the forest with Nira, he noticed fresh footprints in the soft earth. They were different from the usual animal tracks. The prints were larger, with sharp claws, and they moved quickly toward the village. Ben pointed at the tracks and then back to the village. Nira's face grew serious. She whispered, "Danger is close. They come soon." Ben did not understand everything, but he knew enough to feel alarmed. "Who are they?" he asked. Nira shook her head. "Enemies. Old enemies. They hunt us." Ben looked into her eyes and saw fear. He wanted to ask more, but the forest seemed suddenly darker, heavier. They hurried back to the village. When they arrived, Ben shared what he saw with Tarn, the elder. Tarn listened carefully and then gathered the tribe for a meeting. The villagers spoke in low voices, worried and alert. Ben watched as the tribe prepared for something. They sharpened weapons made of stone and wood. Men and women worked together to build simple walls and barriers around the village. Even the children helped, carrying small stones and twigs. Ben wanted to help more. He showed Tarn some tools from his broken ship, small devices and metal pieces that could be useful. Tarn studied the items with interest, but said, "We fight with strength and heart. Tools help, but only with spirit." Ben nodded, understanding the meaning. Technology could help, but the tribe's real power came from their unity and courage. That night, Ben and Nira sat near the fire, listening to the stories of old battles. The tribe spoke of a dark force that had chased them for many years. These enemies came from a far land beyond the mountains, creatures with sharp teeth and quick claws. The tribe had survived by hiding and fighting together. Ben thought about Earth's history, wars and peace, fear and bravery. He felt connected to these people who faced dangers not so different from his own. Suddenly, the peaceful night was broken by a loud cry. A scout ran into the village, breathless and scared. "They come!" he shouted. The tribe moved quickly. Men and women took their weapons. Children were brought to safe places. Ben grabbed what parts he could from his ship, simple tools that might help. The enemy creatures arrived from the forest. They were fierce and fast, moving like shadows. Their sharp claws scraped the trees, and their low growls filled the air. The tribe fought bravely. They used bows and spears, working as one. Ben joined them, using his quick mind to set simple traps. He placed rocks and branches in paths the creatures used, hoping to slow them down. Nira fought beside him, strong and fearless. Her green skin shone in the firelight, and her eyes burned with determination. Ben realized then that these people were more than survivors. They were warriors. The battle lasted for hours. The enemy was powerful, but the tribe's spirit was stronger. Slowly, the creatures began to retreat, running back into the forest. When the fight ended, the village was quiet again. Ben looked at the faces around him, tired but proud. They had won for now. Tarn came to Ben and placed a hand on his shoulder. "You helped?" he said simply. Ben smiled, feeling a new respect from the tribe. He knew he was no longer just a visitor. He was part of their fight, part of their family. In the days that followed, the tribe worked to repair the damage. Ben used his knowledge to help build better traps and strengthen the village defenses. He showed them how to use simple machines, to move heavy logs and stones. But even as the village grew stronger, Ben could see worry in Nira's eyes. She told him the enemies would return, bigger and more dangerous. The tribe needed a new way to protect their home. Ben thought hard. He knew his technology was limited, but his mind was full of ideas. He began to design simple devices, alarms to warn the tribe of approaching danger, stronger barriers made from metal parts he salvaged. Nira helped him gather materials. The tribe worked together, learning from Ben and teaching him their ways. It was a new kind of strength, the power of two worlds joining. One evening, as the sun set behind the mountains, Ben and Nira stood on a hill overlooking the village. The lights below twinkled, soft and steady. Ben felt hope. "We must be ready," Nira said softly. Ben nodded. "We will be." But deep inside, Ben worried. How long before the enemies came again? Would they be strong enough to fight? And what would happen if the tribe's enemies found out about Ben, the stranger with strange machines? For now, the village was safe, but the future was uncertain. Ben knew he had to prepare, not just to survive, but to protect those who had welcomed him. As the stars appeared in the night sky, Ben promised himself one thing. He would not let this tribe fall. He would fight for them, no matter what. The days grew warmer as the suns climbed higher in the sky. Ben woke early, eager to work with the tribe. The threat of the enemy still hung over the village like a dark cloud, but the people moved with calm strength. They were not afraid, not yet. Ben had spent many hours helping build new defenses. His simple machines and traps made the tribe stronger. But more than that, Ben wanted to understand the people who had saved his life and welcomed him into their world. Nira was always nearby. She taught him more of her language, using soft sounds and gentle gestures. Ben listened carefully, repeating the words until he could say them clearly. Nira smiled when he got a word right, and Ben felt proud. One morning, Nira took Ben to a special place deep in the forest. The trees were taller here, and sunlight shone through the leaves like golden rain. The air smelled of flowers and fresh earth. "This place is sacred," Nira said quietly. "Our home and heart." Ben looked around. The ground was covered with small stones arranged in circles. Colorful plants grew in patterns that looked like art. The tribe came here to remember their past and to find strength for the future. Nira touched a stone and told Ben stories of the tribe's history. They had lived on this land for many generations. They had learned to listen to the forest, to live in balance with the animals and plants. Ben was amazed. On Earth, people often fought over land and did not care for nature as the tribe did here. He felt a deep respect for these simple but powerful ways. Days passed, and Ben's bond with the tribe grew stronger. He worked with Sila, the young woman, who had shown him how to make tools. Together, they built new devices to help carry water and food. Sila laughed often, and her joy was contagious. Ben felt lighter when he was near her. The village was no longer a strange place. It was becoming home, but not everything was easy. Some in the tribe still watched Ben with suspicion. A few whispered behind closed doors, worried about the stranger with strange ideas. Ben understood. Trust must be earned. One afternoon, Ben helped the tribe gather fruit from tall trees. Using a pulley system he had made, they lifted baskets filled with sweet fruit. The children watched with wide eyes, amazed at the simple machine. As Ben worked, Tarn came beside him. "You teach well," Tarn said. "You are patient and kind." Ben smiled. "I learn from you too." Tarn nodded, then looked out at the forest. "The danger waits," he said. "We must be ready." Ben agreed. "We will prepare. Together." That evening, the tribe gathered around the fire for a special ceremony. The elders told stories of past heroes, of bravery and sacrifice. The tribe sang songs that echoed through the trees. Ben listened closely. He felt the power of their history, the strength in their voices. He realized that this tribe was more than just people. They were a family, bound by love and loyalty. Nira sat next to Ben. She took his hand and squeezed gently. He looked into her eyes and saw hope. The next day, Ben helped build new alarms around the village. Using metal parts from his ship, he created simple bells that would ring if the enemy came. The tribe practiced moving quietly and quickly, ready for the next attack. As they worked, Ben thought about Earth and his own family. He missed them deeply, but knew he had a new mission here, to protect this tribe and learn from them. One afternoon, while repairing a water channel, Ben was surprised when a young boy approached him. The boy's name was Lom, and he looked up at Ben with curiosity. "Teach me," Lom said simply. Ben smiled and nodded. He spent the afternoon showing Lom how to build small tools and fix broken things. Lom listened carefully and worked with steady hands. The boy's trust meant a lot to Ben. It was a sign that the tribe was beginning to accept him fully, but danger was never far away. One evening, as the sun set, a scout returned with urgent news. "Enemy tracks near," the scout said. "They come again soon." The tribe grew quiet but did not panic. Ben saw the determination in their eyes. They would fight, but they would also protect their home and each other. Nira stayed close to Ben that night. "We are strong," she said, "because we are together." Ben nodded. "And we will be stronger." As the stars appeared, Ben felt a new sense of belonging. He was no longer just a visitor or a stranger. He was part of something bigger, a family, a tribe, a new home. The village was calm as the suns began to set behind the mountains. The soft orange and pink light filled the sky, and the air was warm. But Ben felt a tension that did not match the quiet evening. He knew the enemy was close. Ben stood on the high platform with Nira and Tarn. The tribe was ready. The traps were set, the alarms hung in the trees, and the warriors held their spears tightly. Ben looked over the village and saw the faces of his new family, strong, brave, and determined. Nira touched Ben's arm gently. "Tonight we fight for our home," she said quietly. Ben nodded. "We will protect them." As darkness fell, the first bell rang out, sharp and clear, echoing through the trees. The enemy had arrived. Ben's heart pounded as the creatures moved silently through the forest shadows. The tribe spread out, moving quickly and quietly to their positions. The enemy came with speed and power. Their sharp claws scraped the trees, and their eyes glowed in the dark. But the tribe was ready. Ben worked with the tribe to trigger traps and ring alarms. The machines he had built helped slow the creatures, giving the warriors time to defend. The village. Nira fought fiercely, her green skin glowing faintly in the moonlight. Ben watched her, feeling a mix of admiration and worry. The battle was fierce, and many dangers lay hidden in the night. Ben saw Lom, the young boy who had begun to trust him, hiding behind a tree. Ben called to him softly. "Stay safe, Lom." The boy nodded, clutching a small spear. The fight went on for hours. The creatures were strong, but the tribe's courage was stronger. Together, they pushed the enemy back toward the dark forest. When the last creature fled, the village was silent. Again, the warriors returned, tired but victorious. Ben walked among them, checking on each person. He helped tend small wounds and gave water to the weary. Tarn came to him and placed a hand on his shoulder. "You fought well," he said. "You are one of us." Ben smiled. The words meant more than he could say. The next morning, the tribe gathered to clean and repair the village. The battle had left scars, broken branches, trampled plants, and damaged homes. but the spirit of the tribe was unbroken. Ben worked alongside Nira and Scylla, helping rebuild and strengthen the walls. As they worked, Ben realized how much he had changed since arriving on this strange planet. He was no longer just a guest. He was a protector and a friend. Days passed with quiet peace. Ben taught the tribe how to build stronger tools and better traps. The people listened eagerly, asking questions and sharing ideas. Ben loved these moments, the feeling of belonging, the chance to make a difference. One afternoon, while walking near the river, Ben and Nira found strange marks on the trees. Deep scratches made by something large and powerful. Nira's face grew serious. "They watch us," she said. "The enemy plans more." Ben felt a chill. The danger was not over. He knew they had to be ready, not just for tonight, but for what was to come. That evening, Ben and Nira sat under the stars. The two suns had set, and the night was cool. "Will we be safe?" Ben asked softly. Nira looked at him with steady eyes. "Together, yes," Ben smiled, feeling hope. The next day, the tribe held a meeting. Tarn spoke about the future and the need to prepare. Ben shared his ideas for stronger defenses, metal walls, and better alarms. The tribe agreed to try his plans. As they worked, Ben saw the power of unity. The tribe and the stranger from far away were building a future together, one of strength, courage, and friendship. But Ben also knew that danger waited beyond the trees. He did not know when the enemy would return, but he was ready to face it, for the tribe, for Nira, for Lom, and for himself. Would you like me to continue with Part 6, or change anything in Part 5? The village had grown stronger since the last attack. New walls stood tall, made from wood and metal parts Ben had helped salvage from his broken ship. The alarms hung like small stars in the trees, ready to ring at the first sign of danger. But the forest remained a place of mystery and fear. Ben woke early one morning, feeling restless. The night had brought strange dreams, shadows moving between trees, whispers on the wind. He knew the enemy was still out there, waiting. Nira found him by the river, her face calm but serious. "The forest holds secrets," she said. "If we understand them, we can be safer." Ben looked at her, curious. "What secrets?" Nira smiled softly. "Come, I will show you." Together they walked deep into the forest, past familiar paths, and into darker places. The air grew cooler and the light dimmer. Strange sounds echoed, birds calling, leaves rustling, distant growls. Nira stopped near a large tree, its bark rough and covered with strange markings. She traced the symbols gently with her fingers. "These are old signs," she said. "Warnings from our ancestors." Ben knelt to look closer. The markings were like pictures, animals, stars, and strange shapes. They told a story, but Ben could not understand all of it. Nira explained, "The forest is alive. It watches us. Sometimes it protects us, but sometimes it warns of danger." Ben felt a new respect for the land. On Earth, people often forgot the stories of the past. Here, the tribe listened closely. They continued deeper until they reached a hidden clearing. In the center stood a stone statue, old and worn, but powerful. Nira placed her hand on the statue's cold surface. "This is the heart of the forest," she said. "It holds the spirit of our people and the strength to protect us." Ben felt a strange energy in the air, a quiet power that made his skin tingle. He realized this place was more than just stone and trees. It was the soul of the tribe. Suddenly, Nira looked up, her eyes sharp. "We are not alone," she whispered. Ben turned quickly and saw movement in the bushes. A small group of figures stepped into the clearing. They were members of the tribe, scouts and warriors, but their faces were tense. One of them, a tall woman named Mira, spoke quickly. "We found new tracks near the mountain pass, larger than before." Nira frowned. "They grow stronger." Ben's heart sank. The enemy was not just coming. They were growing in number and power. Back in the village, Ben shared what he had learned. The tribe listened closely as he explained the markings and the meaning of the forest's warnings. Tarn nodded. "The forest is our shield," he said. "We must respect it and learn from it." Ben began to work on new defenses, silent traps hidden in the trees, warning systems that used the sounds of the forest. He combined his technology with the tribe's knowledge, creating a new way to protect the village. Nira helped train the warriors, teaching them to move like the animals and listen like the trees. Days passed with training and preparation. Ben felt stronger and more confident. He knew the enemy would come again, but now they had new hope. One afternoon, while exploring the forest with Loam, Ben found a strange object buried in the dirt. It was a small device from his ship, broken but still glowing faintly. Ben picked it up carefully. "This could help us," he said to Loam. Together, they carried it back to the village. Ben worked to repair the device, hoping it could give them an advantage. That night, as the tribe gathered around the fire, Ben showed them the device. It could send a small signal, a light or sound, that might warn them of approaching danger. The tribe watched in wonder. Ben smiled. "This is just the beginning." Nira sat beside him and whispered, "You bring new strength. We will face the future together." Ben looked around at the faces lit by firelight, strong, hopeful, united. He felt a deep peace. But he also knew the battle was far from over. The forest held many secrets, and the enemy was still out there, waiting in the dark. The village lay quiet beneath the twin suns as the day moved slowly toward evening. Ben stood on the highest hill, looking out at the forest's edge. The trees seemed calm, but he knew better. The enemy was coming, stronger and more dangerous than before. The tribe had prepared for this moment. The new traps were set deep in the forest, alarms hung in every tree, and the warriors were ready. Ben felt proud of how far they had come. Together, they had turned fear into strength. Nira joined him on the hill, her face calm but serious. "They will not surprise us this time," she said. Ben nodded. "We will protect our home." The sun set. The village grew quiet. People moved carefully, ready for the night ahead. Then from the shadows came the first signs. A soft noise, the cracking of twigs, the rustle of leaves. The alarms rang out, clear and sharp. Bells swung on the branches, sending a warning through the village. The enemy had arrived. This time the creatures were larger, faster, and more fierce. Their eyes glowed like burning coals, and their claws scraped the earth with terrible sound. But the tribe stood firm. Ben moved quickly, helping trigger the hidden traps. Nets fell from the trees, snaring the creatures. Sharp spikes rose from the ground, blocking their path. Nera fought beside him, her spear flashing in the moonlight. Her green skin glowed softly, a symbol of her strength and courage. The warriors were everywhere, shouting and moving like the wind. Ben felt his heart race, but he stayed focused. This was their home, their family, and they would not lose it. Loam, the boy who had trusted Ben, fought bravely near the village gate. Ben saw him and gave a small nod of encouragement. The battle was fierce and long. The enemy tried to break. Through every defense, but the tribe's spirit was unbreakable. Ben used the device he had repaired to send signals across the village, warning where the enemy moved. The lights helped the warriors know where to go. Slowly, the creatures began to fall back. When the last enemy disappeared into the forest, the village was still and quiet again. Ben and the tribe counted their losses. Small wounds, but no lives. Lost. The victory was theirs. Tarn came to Ben, his face proud and kind. "You have saved us all," he said. "You are not just a guest. You are family." Ben smiled, feeling a deep joy. "I will always protect this tribe." Nera stepped forward, taking Ben's hand. "Together, we are stronger than any enemy." The village celebrated with songs and dancing, the fires burning bright into the night. Ben looked around at the faces of the tribe, friends, teachers, family. He felt a new hope for the future. The battle had been hard, but it had made them stronger. And now, Ben knew he belonged. The strange world was no longer strange. It was home.